Hello everyone, and welcome back to today's second video. I'd appreciate if you go watch yesterday's video, which was an election night between Senator Sanders from Vermont, who is in this video, in 2016 against our current president Donald Trump, if he did win the Republican nomination, and Bernie Sanders won the Democratic nomination. And go check out that video and then go come back and watch this video. But sticking with this video, in today's video, we're doing another primary prediction on the Democratic side between Bernie Sanders, who ran in 2016 and lost against Hillary Clinton, put up a good fight, and former Vice President Joe Biden, who's essentially, not officially, formally, but essentially said that he's going to run. It's pretty obvious he's going to run, especially with all the things he's attacked Trump with. But essentially, Joe Biden being from Delaware, and Bernie Sanders being from Vermont, he'll do pretty well in. Bernie Sanders will do pretty well in New England, while Joe Biden do pretty good in the Rust Belt. But our first upset of the night that I'll just say right now is that Bernie Sanders actually win the state of Michigan. Actually, not the state of Michigan, excuse me, but the state of Wisconsin. Because Wisconsin has a pretty progressive base, and he's a progressive candidate, of course, and he's pretty energetic. He's a pretty energetic candidate. Pretty appeals to many, especially to young voters, first-time primary or caucus voters. But Joe Biden will. Another issue that the Sanders campaign had in 2016 was their main focus was to win the first three states: Iowa, New Hampshire, and Nevada, in which they only won one of them in New Hampshire. For that reason, they put no effort into the South, which essentially widened the gap too much for him to come back. So this is where I see them coming back. He's gonna win states like Mississippi, Louisiana, but Joe Biden will do pretty well here in the South. The Show Me State, Missouri. Although I think Joe Biden would win the state of Iowa, we're going to give the benefit of the doubt. Again, Bernie Sanders nearly won the state in 2016. But I think he's going to do pretty well up here on the West Coast. Though Joe Biden, I think, is going to do pretty well with Latino voters. So, essentially, as you see, I am actually going to give the state of California to Bernie Sanders. I'm going to give the state of New York to Bernie Sanders. The District of Columbia I'm going to give to Joe Biden. And as you see, we have two states left that Texas and Florida, two states that I did leave for my past prediction. And Bernie Sanders, again, needs to sweep these two to win. But essentially, the reason why I left them is because Texas has a huge young population and Latino population, which I think both candidates are going to fight for. Florida has a huge Latino population as well as a decent amount of a youth population. But again, you also have a good amount of seniors in Florida, which I think Bernie Sanders will do pretty well with. So thinking about it, actually, Bernie Sanders actually does pretty well in urban cities where there are pretty good amount of progressives. Example: Orlando in Florida, Miami-Dade, Broward County, the big three. For that reason, we're actually going to give Florida to Bernie Sanders. And as you see, we have one state left, Texas. And unfortunately for the Sanders campaign, in my opinion, I don't see them having a tremendous shot at Texas. So for that reason, I'm going to give Joe Biden Texas. He's going to win this presidential primary. I do actually see Bernie Sanders with a possibility of winning this. Again, just by flipping one of these big states, he could win. But and again, by proportionality, this margin could become bigger or smaller. But the reason I gave Texas was because Joe Biden's probably going to do pretty well where there are big cities: Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth. And for that reason, I think he's also going to do pretty well with the border counties. More rural counties as well, which I said in my last video. For the same reasons that I'm saying in my last video that Joe Biden, would win, are the same reasons why I think Joe Biden would win. excuse me, that Joe Biden won in the last video is why Joe Biden's gonna win again in this video. But so yeah, this is, I know, a pretty short video, but compared to my other one, but this is my prediction. Joe Biden wins his second primary of today, pretty convincingly. He did pretty well in the South and in the Rust Belt, with Bernie Sanders doing pretty well on the West Coast. Unlike the past video, he did pretty well in the Bernie Sanders did well in the central part of the country, somewhat well, and in the New England region. So this is my final prediction to not Joe Biden winning this election pretty handily, but with very little room for error. So hope you did enjoy. Please leave a like, please share this channel, please subscribe. I do really appreciate when people do subscribe and watch my videos, and I appreciate if you go watch yesterday's video, which was that election night of Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, if you haven't. And yeah, so I hope you did enjoy this video, and I'll see you in the next video. Adios.